I know it's not anything like the little clubs that the sand people hold, but I see this and I just feel like making that sound and bashing you over the head with it. Hell yeah.
This is good stuff. I didn't actually realize you were that into Star Wars.
Oh, dude, I've seen First Hope many, many, many times.
It's not First Hope.
Oh, crap.
See, how do you know about Beggar's Canyon and you say
Well,
First
here's
Hope?
the problem. Like, we start talking about stuff and you give me a compliment. And I'm like, wow, he's being nice to the boss.
That
I
was
gotta,
genuine.
I gotta come back. And then
you
said
First Hope. Hey y'all, Eli with Alchemy Custom Weaponry here with
Luke Skywalker.
Luke Skywalker with Nick. You wish you were Luke Skywalker. You look Luke Skywalker at the end of
I'd be Han Solo.
Okay.
There's no way I'd be Luke Skywalker.
You look like Jabba the Hutt. So, hey, listen, we are here to talk to you about some really important stuff. I mean, it is important, grips. I mean, and I think that's something that sets the 1911 guys off from a lot of other pistol guys is because the grips are, man, it's like the cherry on top of your pistol.
It is, and it's amazing what grips can do to change the look of your gun. Now, first up, in the field, the look in the field, the overall, the vibe, as you young kids are calling it.
Yep.
But I've heard them called many, many things in my career in 1911s. They've been called handles. They've been called scales. Mm-hmm. Different things, but basically stocks. Yeah, the stocks.
That's my favorite one.
Whenever someone calls it a stock, I go, this is either going to be really fun or really not. It's no in between when someone calls them stocks. Anyway, so grips, but they really do set off your gun. We have a few things to talk about. We're going to start off with our upgraded wood grips that we offer, our premium wood grips.
Yep.
And I know you covered this, or we covered this in a previous video.
We'll have a link to that in the description.
Yeah, so we're just going to go into a little more detail on this because we actually make these grips in-house here in Cabot, Pennsylvania. Not in the church of John Moses Brennan that we're in right now, but across the way, over yonder.
Over yonder.
Yes, yeah. And there's a few different options. We have American Holly over here, so go ahead and grab that Square Guard Prime. And the American Holly is a fantastic alternative to ivory. It looks very, classy. It's a real nice, option to add to your gun. It's a white wood. Some things to note that since it is a wood, you're going to want to be careful with anything that could stain it. So don't put it in a red gun sock and leave it in there in moisture. It will pick up what is on that. But it's a very beautiful grip.
Carbon's another one on these.
Yes.
So, a lot of times when we're shooting, especially if we're shooting not fantastically
good ammo,
which let's be honest, ammo prices, I'm not going to fault anyone for that. But, that extra carbon that builds up, you'll have that residue on your hands. And, of course, that will be deposited on the grips as well. So you want to make sure that you keep that wiped off and cleaned up.
I mean, it's really pretty simple. If you just keep a silicone cloth around, that's going to be a very simple way to wipe off any deposits before they get ground down onto those grips. Or have a second set of grips if you're going to be out doing a real heavy range day. Some standard checkered walnut grips. You can get those on our website, or the G10s, or the double diamond G10s from the Quantico. Have a second set. I really like the standard non-G10 or non-double diamond.
Yeah,
I got them on my compact, grippy as hell.
Oh, they are.
Those things are stuck to your hand. Next up, we have the Ebony grips. So Ebony is a dark wood. Almost black. You're going to see a little bit of striations in them from different angles because it isn't like a fully black, like piano black where it's painted. It is actually the wood itself. Yes. So you will see some brown striations in them that are a little bit different. Great grips. I have a gun that I carry with Ebony grips, and I have no concerns about carrying it. Real easy to maintain.
I actually really like seeing this wood raw.
Yeah, so it's really cool to see those stocks or the scales before they become grips. So that's the step before their grips, their scales, to see them before they're finished, because it's a real cool thing to see the grain. Yep. And then here we don't have them on any guns, but I have an example of our figured walnut. These are very good looking grips. And just the way that they're finished, we got Steve up at the shop there who puts a lot of time into putting the extra layers of clear on them that gets a real nice shine without looking fake.
No, it's like a matte sheen.
It's real cool.
That's really, and like I said, these especially are probably one of my favorite grips we offer.
Yes.
They just are really, really gorgeous.
If you're looking for natural wood.
Yeah, it's a great option.
Yeah, if you're looking for natural wood,
Viagra.
no.
That's unnatural wood.
Figured walnut.
That's
yeah,
pharmaceutically enhanced wood.
exactly. So when you go, the next step is ironwood, which is a heavier, denser hardwood than walnut. But it's it's going to be more of a straight grain, typically a little bit darker, very pretty. It's more rare, if you will. So some people really gravitate towards the ironwood. But we're not really here to talk about wood as much as we would. If we were, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? We're here to talk about mammoth, okay? Because and ivory, we'll put those in the same category. Yeah. And I mean, what do you think about ivory?
It's gangster as hell.
Now, why do you think it's gangster as hell?
It just is. I mean, because when I first got really into nice 1911s, Ken Hackthorne told me a man ought to have a blued gun with ivory grips.
Yeah. You ain't a man until you've at least done that.
Yeah, that's like a cornerstone in your life is to have, if you're a 1911 guy, at least one gun blued with ivory grips. It's just kind of a thing you ought to have.
Yes, it's a thing you ought to have. And so we have some really cool pieces here because we offer different versions of mammoth tusk, mammoth ivory grips available for ACWs. Yep. And these are specifically for Alchemy. So if you go on our website and you buy some and you don't have an Alchemy, it's pretty much similar in profile to most grips, but they're specifically made for Alchemies. So this is a very cool, just the way they fit to our guns, our safeties, and if you have a magwell, our magwells, specifically profiled to that.
Well, that was what I was going to say. If you are looking at buying our grips for non-Alchemy pistols, which is perfectly okay with us, I mean, we're not going to turn that down. But just keep in mind that they are all flat bottom gripped, so they work with our magwells, and they're all profiled for our safeties. So
plunger tubes. I mean, plunger tube is a plunger tube, but safeties,
But everything is set up for our guns, so you may have variances in that. Now, if you have an Alchemy, hell yeah, brother, you're going to be all right. Just
rock and roll
things on and keep heading out.
Yep. So we're going to start here with white ivory. So this I mean, what is this right here? Eli, you talk about this gun.
Yep, so this is one of my favorite guns that we have. This is the Charcoal Blue Prime. I'm a big fan of the Charcoal Blue. If you've been following Alchemy, you know that a big part of my interest in 1911s in the pre-war 1911s, and Colt didn't really switch away from Charcoal Blue until right before World War II. So Charcoal Blue is a very heritage finish to the 1911s. So
hence this is the heritage finish.
Correct, yes, hence that. So I'm a big fan of the Charcoal Blue itself. Now, in my opinion, this is one of the best looking guns that we've ever made.
Yep.
Like the blue PVD small parts to simulate niter blue, the charcoal blue with the ivory. I mean, this is just a home run.
Yeah.
The only thing I would change is ring hammer.
Well, but you can do that. That is an option.
You can order that, but this has the really nice interior slab ivory, and this is a really, really
rare.
Rare is the word.
The word is rare. So, standard, if you just order it, the Charcoal Blue Prime, it's going to come with American Holly.
Correct. Which looks like this.
So the American Holly, I mean, I'll even pick it up so we can look at it side by side. From a distance, it's really tough to tell. But the ivory, this interior, I'll just put this right here so I'm not, hugging you on camera. The ivory, the interior ivory, we actually have right here a mammoth tusk, a cross-section of a mammoth tusk. So picture it going out of a mammoth. This is what it is. It's 10,000 plus years old, and it is, sort of fossilized at this point, partially, not really. But this is the interior. So what they have to do to get the white part of it, first off, finding it like this,
super rare,
extremely rare. Normally, when you're going to find tusks, they're going to be kind of crusty and split because over time, they delaminate. There's little rings in there, like the ring of a tree, and they delaminate from the outside in.
Well, like we were talking about earlier, especially in places in the world where you have thaw.
Yes.
Freeze and thaw.
Yes.
That will really, really impact negatively
the quality
of your mammoth ivory.
Yeah, the freeze and thaw. So this is going to come from a very, very cold region where it has never really thawed out.
Correct.
From the Ice Age 10,000-ish plus years ago. So that's going to be the interior of it. Normally, it'll be split and cut, and we'll have a close-up of this. and we'll talk about the black stuff that's in here. This is what you'll see most common in tusks that are found. So being able to go into the interior, and then find it first, and then go into the interior, cut it properly, and then also the colors of them. There'll be some more yellow, some more white. So what has to be done to make sure they match is to make sure that these slabs that are being cut out of the section of grip or the section of the tusk are matching in color and tone, and if there's any striations, and they're in striations to make a book match set. So these are incredibly rare.
So, one really important thing to note about this center slab cut ivory is that it's kind of the best of the best. This is the best example of ivory you're going to find, and then this is actually the best cut of that best example. And due to that, and I kind of hate being this way, but it's just how it is. It's kind of a wasteful process, so it's a pretty expensive process to do, and it's a little bit wasteful because of how you have to cut into this.
Well, and the thing is, like the delaminations, if you look at this, there's delaminations around the ring. You could get into it, and it's like meteorite. You don't know what you're getting into until you cut into it. You could have, a slab that you halfway down has a delam right in the middle of it because it's 10,000 plus year old mammoth tusk. So the outsides kind of get wasted in that a lot, but it's just what makes it really, really, really desirable.
Well, and that's how it's been with things like that throughout human history. Anytime you have the best cut of the best piece of material, it's always just the most gangster thing, regardless of, the practical. Listen, this is not a practical thing, okay? But guess what it is? Gangster. Yeah. I mean, it's just awesome. And like I said, there's nothing really like ivory. I mean, you can get American holly, and that's a great substitute for when you're on the range. But a real, especially if you're someone who says, I want a barbecue gun, I want a gun that's going to stand out from the crowd, a nice set of ancient ivory.
Ancient ivory stocks.
Stocks, yes. That's a great thing to have. And this particular set, so we will have these center cut slabs available
as they're available,
as they are
as much
available.
as we can get them.
I will say this is a grip option that we will not always have available, just due to the fact that it's
it's rare.
Cream of the cream of the crop.
The ivory. The ivory rises to the top.
Oh yeah.
I can't do it with one hand.
No, that is dense.
That is dense.
But no, so this is a really cool thing, and really a special treat. As well. So getting out, once we get past this, we'll get to a little bit more common stuff, which you have over there.
Well, yeah, and it's not, and
common's
not the word, but it's what you'll see a lot when people talk about mammoth tusk grips, and this is center cut mammoth. So if you're looking here at this ACW 1911, which is amazing prime with square guard.
Absolutely.
I love this gun. It has center cut mammoth tusk grips. So this is still ivory, but when you look in here, you're going to see these striations that are dark, that are black. And what happens is, here, go ahead and hold that, is these bone hunters, they go out and they find these tusks, and then the grip maker has to stabilize it to make it into a single piece of material that can then be cut. So these are, if you're looking down the tusk as if it was a tree trunk, these are cut, these are slabbed off of the top, sideways like this. And so what happens is they go and they fill all the voids in a vacuum chamber, which is pretty cool, with a special mixture of some proprietary things and black acrylic that fills those voids. So when you're looking at the finished article of the grip itself, the dark areas are going to be where that delamination has occurred and then been filled with that acrylic to really stabilize it. Now, these are pretty amazing grips. There's a couple other things to talk about on the center cut, and that is where the cut occurs. So if you look at it, if you have the center part of the rings, okay, the actual core in the center of the grips, that's like a center cut. And I don't want to say that's more rare, but if you look at how that has to be cut out of the tusk, that's going to be in the center.
Big
That's going to be a big section, and it leaves a lot of other pieces to be unused, whereas if there's something that's off center, you can cut potentially more slabs out of it. Now, as the tusk goes out and it gets narrower towards the end, maybe you can only do center, and those rings get tighter and tighter and tighter. And if they're bigger, typically towards the base of the tusk. So there's differences in that, and there's also differences in colors.
Yep.
So if you look over here on this ACW 1911, that is going to be more of a lighter tone of the actual tones in the tusk. This one right here is going to be a medium tone and then a dark tone. So those are the 3 tones that we are going to be offering to match to your gun. Now, bear in mind that these are all like fingerprints.
Unique.
They're unique. So maybe it'll be center, maybe it's going to be off center, but we're doing our best to offer 3 different tone variations. But remember, the centers are going to be in different places. The striations are different. And the other cool thing is the way these are book matched. So if you look at this set, one side looks like yay, and it has these dark spots. The other side has dark spots in a very similar area, and that's because it's the next layer down. But that's very, very, very difficult to do, because once you start slabbing the actual material, you can have what looks to be the same voids on the surface, but then it can change as you go deeper. So they have to actually do these by hand and change the different depths of the grip to make them as book matched as possible. They're never going to be perfect because it is like fingerprints, but to make them book matched like that is really, really desirable and cool.
One, it's really cool if you'll pass me that other set of grips there. These, when they're off center, it's really nice because it's kind of like cutting them in half this way.
Yes.
So, one side of the grips will kind of go together in the sense of you'll have one half of that slab on one side, one half on the other. And they're kind of it's really nice how they're kind of just wrapped around the pistol at that point. So that's a really nice thing about the
it's
offset.
A cool look.
Yeah.
Having them offset does have that. It looks, even though they are maybe not cut that way, it creates that look.
Yeah, it creates
which is super cool.
That look, and it's very very cool. Now,
aesthetically pleasing.
Regarding those, we will be shipping these with a carbon fiber back.
Yes.
The topic comes up a lot of actually shooting with ivory or with mammoth. It's one of those things you totally can. These are set up in a manner to where they're more robust and just if they cut them, stabilize them, and then put them on a gun with that carbon fiber back. Now the solid
without the carbon fiber backing, I wouldn't really shoot them. With the carbon fiber, it is something you could shoot, but you just have to use your
common sense.
Like if you're out, shooting 1,000 rounds.
If you're hammering the gun.
If you're hammering the gun, have a different set of grips for it. The ivories, the solid ivories, those are very, very tough.
Those are tough.
So those you may not, really want to have a need to swap them out, but it's just like anything. If you live up in, Wisconsin, in the wintertime, you got your summer tires, which is probably where you have your nice wheels on them. And then you got your winter wheels and your winter tires for when it's all gritty and crappy out. Swap them. I don't know. I don't know nothing about that. I live in Texas, but I've heard. So I probably connected with some Wisconsinites on here.
The other aspect too to this is, like you mentioned, you do want to. It's always good just to, if you are investing this much. These are not cheap.
No, they're not cheap.
This is an investment.
These are more than 2 Glocks. Well, yeah.
They're definitely cooler than them.
They're way cooler than 2 Glocks.
These are investments. So if you are going to have a range day where you're going to be really hammering the gun, it doesn't hurt to have another set of grips to throw on there, shoot it, and then you can swap back out. Now, important to note, if you do take the guns off, we take the opportunity to give you a little bit of a block here.
Yes.
What is that made out of? Like
that's acrylic.
Acrylic block. That you can screw the grips into when they're not on the gun. It is so important. If you don't take anything else from this video, take this. It is absolutely imperative that you keep these grips on something at all times, whether that be your 1911's frame or our block that we are going to give you. We're giving you this, okay?
Yeah,
so no
you buy the grips that comes with this.
No excuses, okay? So you need to make sure you keep them on there. Otherwise, they could potentially,
it's a natural material.
Natural thing.
Differences in heat, humidity. Don't leave them in your car in Texas in the summer on your dashboard and think they're going to be okay, because they ain't. So that's one thing for sure. Good point. So if it's on your gun, keep it on your gun. If it's
if you're taking them off,
put them on this. Now, if it's for like when you're cleaning them, if you're just cleaning your gun, it's not a big deal. You take them off, clean your gun, put them back on. Now, the next thing is don't torque your grip screws down too tight.
Of
Okay?
course. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
So we have little rubber
O-rings.
little rubber O-rings. Okay,
Yeah.
some people will call them bushings, but the bushings what the screw goes into. So we call them O-rings. So the rubber O-ring gives a little bit of cushion for the pushing, and so that you can actually time the grip screws.
Absolutely.
And without compressing the grip material, because if you compress it too much, it can break. So make sure you got those O-rings on there. And then last thing is general maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
They are stabilized, but every year, just take some Renaissance wax.
Great stuff. You should have that
You
anyways.
should have Renaissance wax.
Yeah.
You know, if you have a Damascus steel cabot, like a California, if you have any of these guns, charcoal blue,
Hot
salt blue, Renaissance wax, because what it's going to do is create a barrier between the surface of the material and moisture.
Yep.
Okay? And I mean, I'm just telling you, you got to be careful of that, because when you're carrying a gun with grips this hot, you might get a little sweaty. You might get a little attention from the ladies too. So you got to be careful, because
keeping it PG.
Keep it PG, because these need to stay dry. Anyway, so Renaissance wax, very important aspect there. So Eli, with that, this is another thing too, because people ask, how do you know that it's actual mammoth tusk?
Oh, yes.
This is cool. So if you look on it, and I'm going to pull out my phone because I have the actual word written down. I had to spell it. There is a herringbone pattern. So if you look on these cross-cut mammoth grips, and you look real close, you'll see a herringbone pattern inside of the white part. Okay, that is called those are called Schrager lines. Schrager lines. Okay, Schrager. Yeah, we're going to put the word on the screen.
The word
here.
will be on
the
the
word
screen.
will be on the screen, but the angles of that pattern, people can act, zoologists, I suppose, is who it would be. Someone smart can tell between a mammoth and an elephant. Okay, so on crosscut, they're going to be there. On the center cut,
the center cuts, they'll be
on the bottom because of the direction that it's cut out of the piece of mammoth tusk, which is really cool. Now, here's the thing: there are imitations out there of mammoth and of ivory. And one of the things that you'll see is some very, very white grips that are called walrus. All right, they'll be walrus ivory. But we actually have an example of that right down here. This is a walrus tusk. Okay, and technically, thank you. Just give it to me. So technically, this is not a tusk. It is a tooth. So when you look at these grips that are made out of walrus tooth or tusk, it is going to be just plain white, and you won't see those Schrager lines in it. So that's how you can tell that apart. But man, could you imagine? Like, this is the way you attract a mate in the walrus world.
That's also the way I attract a mate in this world.
Yes. Okay. Well, how's that work out for you?
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Yeah, it's worked out pretty good for me too. But anyways.
So yeah, with that, we are so happy you'd stick with us through this presentation on some of our grips. If you have any questions about our grips, I am always, literally there for you.
So much so that I worry about him.
Yeah, it gets a little worrying how much I am there for you. So if you have any questions, holler at me. I'll get you squared away. Of course, we just got in at the time of this video. We just got in a lot of
a relative shit ton.
Right, of course. It's relative. It's relative
because there's not that many of these, but we have a number of grips.
Yes, so we are definitely offering those available on the website, and then also, or at least you can order them through me. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, on new builds, you always have the option to do.
But they will be on the website. So if there is a certain stock, you can go to the grip section of the website, and they will be there for you to select from. If they're out of stock, they're out of stock, or they're already committed to customer builds. Just wait, and we'll replenish them. Yeah,
of course. We've got a line on them.
We got a line on them. We got a bead on them.
Anyways, with that, thank you so much. Stay safe out there, and remember,
carry with an ivory grip handled.
Oh, we're changing it this time.
Well, I mean, we're talking about this.
Oh yeah, carry with the ivory grips, but carry cocked and locked.
Yes, that too.
See y'all later.